There is a room in your parents' house that is more likely to send them to a nursing home than any other. It isn't dramatic. It isn't dangerous looking. Most people walk through it a dozen times a day without a second thought, and the change that would make it safe costs less than a single dinner out. But almost no family makes that change until after the fall, after the hospital, after the bill, after the moment when staying home stopped being an option. Here is the part that should make you sit up. Study after study points to the same brutal truth. The thing that most often ends an older person's independent life is not a disease. It's a fall in their own home. And the overwhelming majority of those falls happen in places you could make safer this weekend for less money than you'd expect, with changes so simple that once you see them, you'll wonder why no one ever told you. So today, I'm going to walk you through the cheap home changes that can delay a nursing home by years. And I'm going to do it in order, starting with the ones that prevent the most serious injuries and save the most money, and working down from there. This isn't a random list. By the end, you'll know exactly where to spend your first $100, your next 100, and where you can stop. And at the very end, I'm going to tell you about the single cheapest change of them all. It costs almost nothing. Most families never think of it, and it may do more to keep a parent safe than anything else on this entire list. Stay with me for that one, because it's the one I'd want my own family to know. Let's begin. But first, I need you to understand why this matters so much in dollars and not just in safety, because the money is the part that should change how you think about all of this. When an older adult falls and breaks a hip, the chain reaction is almost always the same. The fall leads to surgery. The surgery leads to a hospital stay. The hospital stay leads to a rehabilitation facility. And a frightening share of older adults who go through that chain never return to living independently at all. Keep that in mind as we go, because it reframes everything. The number one change, the most important one, the one I would do first in any home before anything else, is in the bathroom. The bathroom is the single most dangerous room in the house for an older adult, and it's not close. Think about what a bathroom actually is. It's a small room full of hard surfaces: porcelain, tile, ceramic, the edge of a tub, the rim of a toilet. It's frequently wet and slippery. It requires a person to do things that challenge balance even in the young: stepping over the edge of a tub, lowering themselves onto and rising from a toilet, standing on one foot to wash. And it's a room people use alone, with the door closed, often at night, when they're groggy. Every single risk factor for a serious fall is concentrated in that one small space. So this is where you start. Here is exactly what to do, in order of importance. First, install grab bars, real ones, screwed into the wall studs, not the suction cup kind that pull off when weight is applied. You want one beside the toilet and one or two inside the shower or tub. This is the highest value safety change you can make in the entire house. The cost is small. The impact is enormous, because it gives your parents something solid to hold during the exact movements: sitting, standing, stepping over, when falls are most likely. Second, put a non-slip mat or non-slip strips on the floor of the tub or shower. A wet, smooth tub floor is one of the most treacherous surfaces in any home, and the fix costs almost nothing. Third, consider a shower chair or bench so your parent can sit while bathing instead of balancing on wet feet. Fourth, if the toilet is low, add a raised toilet seat or a toilet safety frame with arms. Lowering down onto and pushing up from a low toilet is one of the hardest movements for aging knees and hips. None of these things is expensive. None of them requires a contractor or a renovation. Together, they transform the most dangerous room in the house into one of the safest. And they do it for a couple $100. If you do nothing else after this video, do the bathroom. It's the highest stakes, lowest cost change there is. Let me make this real for you, because the statistics can feel abstract until you picture the actual moment. Think about how a typical bathroom fall happens, in the most ordinary way imaginable. An older woman, let's say in her late 70s, gets up in the night to use the toilet. She's a little stiff, a little unsteady, the way most people her age are when they first stand. She finishes, and she goes to stand up from a toilet that sits low to the ground. To rise, she has to push down hard, with weakening legs, and pull herself forward. And for a moment, her balance is entirely dependent on those legs holding, and her not pitching forward. There's nothing to grab. So she reaches out. For the towel bar, for the edge of the sink. For the flimsy thing mounted on the wall that was never designed to hold a human being's weight. It gives way, and she goes down, in a small room full of hard porcelain and tile, hitting the side of the tub or the floor on the way. That is the entire event. It takes 2 seconds. It happens to hundreds of thousands of older adults every year. And it is very often the beginning of the end of living at home. Now run that same moment back, but this time there's a properly anchored grab bar exactly where her hand reached. She grabs it, steadies herself, and the fall simply never happens. That is the difference a $20 bar makes, not a small improvement in comfort. The difference between a normal night and the night everything changed. And here's a detail most people get wrong, so pay attention to it. Placement matters as much as the bar itself. A grab bar in the wrong spot is nearly useless. You want a bar positioned where your parent's hand naturally reaches during the hardest movements, beside the toilet at a height they can push up against, and inside the shower where they step in and turn around. The best way to get this right is almost embarrassingly simple. Watch your parent move through the bathroom, or have them show you where they instinctively reach for support and put the bars there. Don't guess. Don't install them where a diagram says. Install them where this specific person's hand actually goes. And one more time, never rely on suction cup bars for weight-bearing support. They're fine as a light guide, but they release under sudden load, which is the exact moment your parent needs them most. Bars that bear weight must be screwed into the studs behind the wall. If you take one concrete thing from this entire video, let it be a properly anchored grab bar beside the toilet and in the shower. It is the closest thing to a magic fix that exists in home safety. The second change, in order of impact, is lighting, and this one surprises people because nobody thinks of a dim hallway as dangerous. But poor lighting is one of the most common causes of falls. And fixing it is almost insultingly cheap. Here's the problem. As people age, their eyes need far more light to see clearly than they used to, significantly more than a younger person needs. At the same time, older eyes adjust to darkness much more slowly. So picture the most common scenario. Your parent gets up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. The room is dark. Their aging eyes can barely adjust. They're half asleep, possibly a little unsteady already, and they're trying to navigate a path they can't really see. That single trip, bed to bathroom in the dark, is one of the most dangerous journeys in an older person's day, and people make it every single night. For a few dollars per light, you eliminate one of the most common causes of nighttime falls in the entire home. It's one of the best returns on a few dollars you will ever find. And let me add something about the bedroom itself, because it connects directly to this. The path from the bed is where so much goes wrong, and there are a couple of cheap fixes people overlook. First, the height of the bed matters. A bed that's too high means your parent has to drop down to reach the floor, and a bed that's too low means they have to haul themselves up from almost a squat. The ideal is a bed where, sitting on the edge, their feet rest flat on the floor with knees at roughly a right angle. If the bed is wrong, it can often be adjusted cheaply with bed risers. Second, keep a sturdy path clear of obstacles between the bed and the door, and consider keeping essentials within reach of the bed: water, glasses, a phone, a lamp. Third, if getting in and out of bed has become a struggle, a bed rail that attaches to the frame gives them something solid to hold and pull against. These are small, inexpensive adjustments, but the bedroom-to-bathroom journey is one your parent makes in the dark every single night, and it deserves more attention than almost anyone gives it. The third change is the floor itself, specifically the things on the floor that your parent walks across every day without thinking, and the biggest culprit is loose rugs. To you, they're harmless decoration. To an aging parent with a slightly shuffling gait and slower reflexes, they are tripping hazards laid across every path in the house. A curled edge catches a toe. And here's the thing. This fix costs nothing at all. You don't buy anything. You remove things. You take up the loose rugs or secure them flat to the floor with double-sided rug tape. While you're down at floor level, look at the pathways through the house. Are there cords stretched across walkways? Furniture crowding the routes your parent walks most? Clutter on the floor. Clear the paths. Make sure your parent can walk from any room to any other room, and especially from bed to bathroom, in a straight, clear, unobstructed line. This costs you an afternoon and $0, and it removes some of the most common tripping hazards in the entire home. There's a piece of this people argue about, so let me address it head-on. Your parent is going to want to keep some of those rugs. This is where the with them, not to them principle matters. So negotiate. The ones in true walking paths, the hallway, the route to the bathroom, the top of the stairs, those have to go or be fully secured, flat, non-negotiable. The purely decorative one in a corner, nobody walks through, can stay. For the ones you compromise on keeping, secure them properly, double-sided rug tape or non-slip rug pads underneath. The goal isn't a bare house. The goal is that nothing on the floor can slide, curl, or catch a foot along the paths your parent actually walks. Footwear matters here too. Loose slippers and socks on smooth floors are their own hazard. Non-slip slippers or shoes worn inside prevent a surprising number of falls. The fourth change is the stairs, and this one matters enormously in any home with more than one level. Stairs are where falls turn catastrophic because of multiple impact points. The first and most important fix is handrails. Every staircase should have a sturdy, well-anchored handrail, and ideally a handrail on both sides, not just one. Make sure the rails are tightly anchored. A loose handrail is worse than none. Next, mark the edge of each step. As vision fades, the edges of stairs blur together. A strip of high-contrast tape along the front edge of each step makes the edges visible and costs only a few dollars. Improve the lighting on the stairs, as we discussed. And if the stairs have become a genuine daily struggle, consider whether the things your parent needs can be relocated to a single floor, moving a bedroom downstairs, for instance. The handrails and the edge markings are cheap and fast. They turn the most catastrophic fall location in the house into a manageable one. I want you to picture why the stairs deserve this much attention. Consider a man in his 80s who'd lived in the same two-story house for 40 years. He knew those stairs in his sleep. One evening, carrying a basket of laundry down to the basement with only one hand free for a handrail, he misjudged the last two steps in the dim light. He fell down the remaining flight, and the multiple impacts did far more damage than a single fall ever could. That one trip down the stairs ended his life in that house. Now consider how cheaply that could have been prevented. A second handrail, a brighter bulb, contrast tape, and a rule about never carrying anything that needs both hands. Every one of those fixes is cheap. The fall they prevent is not. This is the pattern. Trivial prevention, catastrophic consequence. If the stairs have genuinely become dangerous, the cheapest change might be making the stairs optional. Can the bedroom move to the ground floor? Is there a bathroom on the main level? Can daily life be reorganized so everything they need exists on a single level? This removes the hazard rather than just managing it. A stair your parent doesn't climb is a stair they can't fall down. The fifth change is the kitchen. The focus here is twofold: preventing falls and preventing the other great household danger, which is fire. The things your parent uses every day should be easy to reach without climbing, bending, or stretching. Move daily use items to the easy-to-reach middle shelves. On the fire side, the kitchen is where a moment of forgetfulness becomes a catastrophe. There are automatic stove shut-off devices that can prevent a house fire. At minimum, make sure there are working smoke detectors and a fire extinguisher your parent can actually reach and use. The kitchen changes address two of the deadliest risks at once. So those are the 5 big areas: the bathroom, lighting, floors, stairs, and the kitchen. But I promised you the cheapest change of them all, the one that most families never think of. The cheapest and most powerful change is this: a way for your parent to call for help from the floor. Let me explain why this matters more than almost anything else. No home is completely foolproof. When they do happen, the thing that determines whether it's a minor scare or a life-ending catastrophe is how long your parent lies on the floor afterward. An older person who falls and gets help within minutes often recovers fully. An older person who falls and lies on the floor for hours faces something far more dangerous than the injury itself. Lying immobile can cause dehydration, pressure injuries, and medical complications that can be fatal even when the original fall was survivable. The 6 hours on the floor is what kills. Make sure that if your parent falls, they can summon help immediately. The simplest version: make sure your parent carries a phone on their body at all times, in a pocket, not on a counter. A phone across the house is a phone that can't save you. A medical alert device is the next step up, a button worn around the neck or wrist that connects to help. For the price of a modest subscription, you address the single deadliest variable in the entire equation: not whether a fall happens, but how long your parent is alone when it does. The most common obstacle is that your parent will resist the medical alert device. They'll say it makes them feel old. Choosing a discreet device that looks like a watch helps. Frame it like a seatbelt. It's not an admission of weakness. It's the thing that lets them keep living alone. If they truly won't wear it, the phone in a pocket is the non-negotiable minimum. And there's a related change: a spare key. Make sure a trusted neighbor has a key, or install a lockbox, so that when help is needed, the door is never the obstacle. One final rule: do this with them, not to them. If you take over without involving them, they will resist and resent it. Their dignity is at stake. Explain that these changes are what lets them stay in their own home longer. You are not decorating with reminders of decline. You are buying them time and independence. This channel exists to help families handle these moments. Subscribe so the next video reaches you before you need it. Tell me in the comments which change you're making first. One important note: I'm not a professional. Treat this as a starting map, and consider an occupational therapist for a professional evaluation specific to your parents' home. So this weekend, get up and walk through the house room by room. The hazards are cheap to fix and ruinously expensive to ignore. Make the changes now while it's still prevention.